Here we go, guys. Day of reckoning. It's finally here. What a massive card. Just very briefly, I'm just going to talk to you about some of the fights that are happening today and just giving our final predictions and then handing over to Ra, who's over in Riyadh as we speak. So let's start with Dubois versus Miller. Honestly speaking, I can't see any other victor apart from Daniel Dubois. I think the weight difference is going to make a massive difference to this fight. Miller weighing 100 pounds heavier than Dubois. That for me is a massive concern. I think that once Dubois starts landing those shots, and if he does drop Miller, I can't see Miller getting up. So I'm gonna say Dubois by TKO or KO. Then moving on to Wilder versus Parker. Now this is an interesting one actually. So I can see arguments for Wilder, and also in the manner in which Parker did lose that fight against Joe Joyce. However, with this one, looking at it, I can just see Parker possibly outboxing Wilder. So I'm going to go for a Joseph Parker win. And then over to the big one, Anthony Joshua versus Otto Wallin. Again, it's a fantastic fight. The occasion and what's promised, I've never seen an angrier Anthony Joshua. So I'm going to go for Anthony Joshua via stoppage, 7 rounds, 7 to 8. I can see an Anthony Joshua win. Ra, how do you see this one going down?
Alright people, Welcome here, Punchout Boxing, live on location from the quite stunning Kingdom Arena, probably an hour away before opening bell. So here's my predictions for the night. I am going for the 3 big heavyweight fights. Dubois v Miller, who's going to win that? A lot of question marks about both. Personally, I don't buy so much into the idea that Dubois quit against Usyk. I think what Usyk does is he runs opponents' gas tanks down, and when they're in an utterly exhausted state, he takes them out. Nearly happened to Joshua in the first fight, and it happened to Dubois, who's obviously younger and much less experienced. So I don't think Dubois is the quitter people say he is. He's got a bad rep for that. As for Miller, how good is he without the drugs? My feeling is that someone who has consistently had to take enhancements doesn't really have confidence in his ability, and presuming he's being thoroughly checked for enhancements and he's not been able to take what he needs to help him along, I don't think he's the force that he's shown early on in his career. So I do think when he gets hit by Dubois, he will go. I'm going for a Daniel Dubois stoppage in 6 rounds. As for the joint co-main event, Joe Parker and Deontay Wilder, I've been banging the drums about how Wilder's punching power is exaggerated. You know, there's this idea he can hit anyone and they'll instantly go. That's generally not been happening. If you look at his championship reign, he hasn't hit a person and they've gone. So I do think, though Parker will probably get hurt, probably dropped at some point, I think he will ride the storm out and stop Wilder in the championship rounds. So that's Parker stoppage rounds 10 to 12. And as for the main event, I'll make no pretense, I'm Team AJ all the way. I think we have been seeing him bring different aspects of his game together, and I think we're going to see that tonight. I think we'll see his usual cautious start. I think Valina is a skilled boxer and will give him trouble for the first half of the fight. First 4 rounds definitely. It might actually even look risky for AJ, but I think within 10 rounds, 8 to 10 rounds, AJ will get to him and then get a devastating knockout with his trademark combinations. So that's my third prediction. Anthony Joshua, knockout rounds 8 to 10.
Afternoon. What an evening of boxing we've got coming up over in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and I'm so happy that Ra is over there, our illustrious correspondent from Punchout Boxing. Hopefully myself and Dave will get out there at some point next year. Ra really flying the flag for Punchout Boxing, which is absolutely amazing. We're so stoked to be a part of the whole event. It's absolutely unreal. We never expected this, I don't think. So to be able to get the opportunity for one of our guys to be out there is just so good. So if you weren't interested in this event already, obviously we've got extra interest in that because of that. But mental. I mean, I just want to touch upon the Bivol Lyndon Arthur fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. I really do. I'm excited to see that. Obviously, we've got Jai fighting as well. I think Bivol will get a stoppage 7th to 8th round, but I think Lyndon Arthur will make a good account of himself. Definitely not there just to get paid. I think he's going to try and fight. Then we've got Jarrell Miller and Daniel Dubois. Hopefully Dubois runs through him like a train. His trash talk is horrific, but hopefully he runs through him like a train. Because I cannot fathom Jarrell Miller beating Daniel Dubois and then continuing the absolute waffle that comes out of his mouth. He's been a cheat. For me to say he's an average boxer is not fair, but you know, in context of boxing, he's an average heavyweight boxer. So I'd expect Daniel Dubois to run through him, and I really do hope that he does that. Moving on, Deontay Wilder, Joseph Parker, probably the most. No, it isn't. Joseph Parker rightly being given lots of credence to potentially cause what some would say an upset against Deontay Wilder. I don't think that's going to happen personally. I completely understand why people do have that opinion. I think Wilder stops him within, I think, 10th round stoppage. I'm going to go from Deontay Wilder, but I also think there's the opportunity for that to happen early. Not many people hit harder than Deontay Wilder. We've seen him put some big people down, and Joseph Parker has been stopped and put down in the later rounds. I think there might be a little bit of a question over the durability of his chin. So, yeah, taking nothing away from him. I think it's a difficult fight for him. He absolutely has the skills to beat him, but Deontay Wilder, for me, has too much power, and I think he stops Joseph Parker inside 10 rounds or at a 10th round stoppage. And moving on to probably the most contentious fight of all, Otto Wallen v Anthony Joshua. If Anthony Joshua's attitude this week is anything to go by, I'm hoping that he's gone back to his original ways and not thinking too much about how he boxes, about getting hit, and just tries to blow Wallen out the water. I have never been a huge fan of Anthony Joshua. I've always thought that he's had the Sky Sports media hype train behind him. So I've always been a fan of Dillian Whyte in that sense when it comes to those two. Never shy away from that. But obviously Anthony Joshua's done far more in his career. And I think you have to give him his flowers. He's dealt with a lot of adversity in terms of having the media in his face and being in the limelight all of the time. Something that I couldn't even fathom in terms of, you know, having the difficulty to deal with when it comes to his mental health and things like that, and having so much pressure on him. But I do think he's on an upwards trajectory, and would love to see him come through Otto Wallen. And I really like the Deontay Wilder Anthony Joshua fight. I think that'll be really explosive. Taking nothing away from Otto Wallen, he has the skills to make this a very, very awkward fight, as we saw he did with Tyson Fury. So it'll be an interesting one, but going for an Anthony Joshua stoppage on that one. 7th round as well. So those are my predictions. Hopefully I get something right. Again, over to Ra in Saudi Arabia, whilst me and Dave watch this back in the UK, and back in the UK, boys all the way. See you in the next